He sighed, annoyed by the whole affair, and very confused about his own involvement. He resolved to speak to Robert immediately. "Alice," he spoke to the servant, still standing in the doorway, sensing further orders. "Tell Joseph to ride to Sheriff Marley. He's at the Three Lions. And tell him that I must see him this very evening." She dipped a curtsy. "Yes, sir." Across the table, Caroline still held the unopened letter from her Aunt Margaret. She had noted her husband's deep frown, his agitation, and then the command to summon Sheriff Marley. "Edward," she asked tentatively, "is something wrong?" He made an effort to turn from his troubling thoughts and give her a small smile. "Nothing that should concern you, my dear. Now, what news does your aunt have to relate from Somerset?" "Ah," she replied, remembering the letter she held. She opened it and was surprised by her aunt's first sentence. "Dearest Caroline, we are unblessed by your long absence." The awkward term, unblessed, first confused, then worried her. She read the brief letter quickly. What did Aunt Margaret mean? The rest of the letter merely asked her to visit and gave news of her cousin Eleanor's journey. She decided to speak to Edward about the possibility of visiting her aunt, but not now, when he was clearly concerned about another matter. Better to wait until this concern passed, and his mood might be more generous. She knew well Edward's preference that she not visit her family often. "Nothing important. She speaks of Eleanor's trip. I won't bother you with it now." Edward's scowl deepened. His day had been frustrating, much like the miserable weather outside. He did not completely approve of his wife's having so much correspondence with members of her family. It was one of their peculiarities to educate their daughters in much reading and writing. He had often thought it was perhaps the custom of all such families engaged in commerce. Their rising wealth gave them the means to hire tutors, and so they overeducated their daughters, doubtless ignorant of the customs of landed families like his own, to whose status, he took for granted, the merchant class aspired. They would never achieve it, of course. No amount of wealth could substitute for birth. But the subject of birth sent him deeper into gloom. He made an effort to appear interested. "Where has your cousin Eleanor gone this time?" He thought it unseemly that a young woman should travel so often, even if she were escorted. "Aunt Margaret doesn't say." "Edward, since Sheriff Marley will be visiting you this evening, I am inclined to retire early, if that is agreeable to you." She was very tired, having had little rest the night before. But mostly she wanted to be alone to think about Margaret's meaning of unblessed, without distraction. It was like her aunt to be sensible of the fact that letters sent to Caroline might be read by her husband. They were never more than greetings and small news of the family, the kind of news Margaret knew Edward would find uninteresting. But to use the awkward phrase, "We are unblessed," was not at all like her, and Caroline found herself somewhat concerned. Edward's attention was elsewhere. "Oh, certainly, my dear." But his face softened as he looked at her. So lovely, in a plain, unadorned gown of pale blue silk, looking up at him with perfect deference in her waiting expression. She rose, and taking her letter with her, kissed her husband's cheek. "Good night, Edward." She left him staring into the fire, his dinner forgotten.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.